Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom on this channel, and we talk about it in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you've come to the right place. We're so happy to have you here today. Today also happens to be Sci-Fi Sunday on this channel, where we talk about all things sci-fi, fantasy, and comic book related. And today we have to talk a little bit about the DCU, more specifically about Batman Brave and the Bold. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so the DCU has a plan going forward, and one of those plans is Batman Brave and the Bold. Now, this is a big thing because we have a Batman movie coming out. It's going to be Batman 2, and it's going to be the Robert Pattinson Batman. And that, of course, is set in Elseworlds, and James Gunn has said in the past he has no problem with Elseworlds films. However, we have had this constant struggle with YouTubers who want to hate on the DCU talking about how much James Gunn doesn't want the Batman 2 to come out. Well, that's not entirely true because it's coming out. And apparently, not only is it coming out, but plans are moving forward for the Batman Brave and the Bold, which will be the live-action DCU Batman that we will be getting. Now, there has been a lot of casting rumors and a bunch of other rumors, but all of these rumors, how much truth is there to some of the things that are being said? Well, that's what we're going to discuss, and we're going to address what has fans worried, and we're going to break down the truth, because a lot of these YouTubers are going to use this as a launching pad for false information, and I want you guys to know the truth. Alright, so a fan inquired whether or not The Brave and the Bold will film in 2027, and James Gunn replied on Threads, "The universe is rife with incorrect information about The Brave and the Bold on every level." Now let's talk about what this means, because this actually is important to address, because that means, yes, the film may not actually start filming in 2027. Maybe they don't have a filming date locked down. That in no way is a bad sign for this movie at all. And that's important to realize, because while it looks like they're not filming it in 2027, they have a lot of other projects that they're doing, and some of these projects are coming out in 2027. 2026, 2027, we have no idea when they're going to be able to get around to this film. Casting hasn't even officially been done yet, so they have a bit of a path going forward for this movie before they can even start filming. So yes, that is a big thing to realize, but it in no way is a bad thing. Then someone else mentioned Christina Hodson and said it was recently announced she would be working on a script for The Brave and the Bold. A bunch of the usual suspects got really annoyed about it. And this is what the person said. The person had this to say. James Gunn basically said, "I will only say anyone judging Christine Hodson's screenwriting skills has almost certainly never read an actual screenplay by her. She is one of the writers who was with us early on in the DCU planning stages. I don't think any of you can judge my writing based on the films others have directed, as massive liberties are sometimes taken." And that's important too. That's James Gunn basically saying, hey, look, screenwriters, all these script writers, they have their ideas. They put them down on paper. Directors come in, they change them. Other writers come in, they change them. Some things just change because they change. And it's nothing to do with that writer themselves. You can't actually judge a script by the first person that gets their hands on it to write it. That original script may set the stage for the story, but that story can change over time. And to sit there and say that she had a play in some of these other movies that they consider flops, they also have to look at the other writers that were put in there. Oftentimes, what you'll find is that people aren't willing to do that. People aren't willing to say that this writer or that writer came in and rewrote someone unless it suits their narrative. The whole thing about some of the channels that are going to be spinning this all as the DCU is still doomed and Batman's going to flop because this writer had something to do with it. A lot of what they're saying doesn't make sense if you really think about it, because several writers will come in and have their hands in this project. Those writers will also not include James Gunn in this case. He may put a suggestion in here and there, and they can argue that that's a bad thing. But the other writers coming in and the director that they have for this movie is also going to be a big part in how this movie turns out. So to take a look at one writer and say that everything they've ever done is a total flop because we don't like what they've done before, when some of that has been a hit, when people who are in the business like the scripts that this person writes, it's kind of unfair because a person can be talented and you don't have to like the job they do. Other people in the business really do like her and they have to have their reasons. So I think that it's a bit unfair for people to say that myself. You know, I think that when we're looking at a writer or a director, we're looking at this big production that has so many hands in the pot, and all of these people that are part of this, everyone that is part of the movie is to blame whether that movie is a hit or a flop. And they're to blame whether you don't like the movie or not, because all film is still subjective at the end of the day, and it doesn't matter if I like it or you like it. What matters is that it does have fans and it does have people who will like it. Another thing that I've heard people actually be worried about is that James Gunn may in fact end up directing this movie himself. I've heard this bandied about all over the place. There's no evidence at all to support this, and it's just kind of not true. So anytime you're hearing this, James Gunn isn't going to be directing everything in the DCU. That's not going to happen. That is another thing that is being thrown about by the people who just want clicks, who just want to tell you all this negative stuff. And they want to say that James Gunn is this power-hungry guy who's going to literally have his hands all over the DCU and let nobody else play in the sandbox. And that's not even possible. If you're looking at it right now, there are a couple films he didn't direct. Supergirl isn't directed by him. It isn't written by him. Did he offer maybe one or two things? Probably, maybe, who knows? But he didn't direct the movie, and that's important to realize. And then you have the Clayface movie. He didn't direct that. All this stuff that people are going to say about James Gunn may end up directing the Batman Brave and the Bold himself. That's just not true. In fact, we already have a director. The Brave and the Bold was one of the first projects announced in the first round of DC projects in early January 2023. And James Gunn had said that the project would not only introduce Batman to the DC universe, but also the Bat family. More specifically, it was going to introduce Damian Wayne as Robin. And Damian Wayne is, of course, the biological son of Bruce Wayne, Batman, and is described by James Gunn as our favorite Robin. And not to mention, the movie would follow a plot line where Bruce is unaware of Damian's existence until Damian is 10 years old. And it will come. It is a very strange sort of father and son story about the two of them, according to James Gunn. Now, The Brave and the Bold is inspired by the comic of the same name. In January 2023, it was announced that Andy Muschietti would be directing this project. And this is important. According to an update provided by Gunn in September of 2025, it appears that there may have been some changes to the script over the last 2 years. It sounded for a minute like Damian might not be involved. And this is something that people are worried about. I don't think that we're going to get Damian not being involved, but if that is the case, it wouldn't be an absolute shocker if that does prove to be true. However, based on what we know about how this was originally going to go and everything that they set out to do when they said they were doing the project, I would say it probably hasn't changed that much in terms of what they originally had in mind. Sure, you might have a change here and there. Maybe Damien had to be aged up a little bit. That is possible. Getting someone young enough to play Damien, yet having them do all of these stunts and some of this other stuff may not have been as plausible as they originally thought when this idea was put down. Maybe the person writing the script, maybe she came up with the idea of making him just a little bit older. And that's not a bad thing either. It could actually work. In the comics, yes, he is a teenager. I don't expect that they're going to make him 25 or 30. Come on. But making him a little bit older of a teenager in the DCU might not be a bad idea. Whatever they have in mind here, keep in mind that there are several hands at play. She may have written the original script or may be writing the original script for it. But everyone else that has all of their hands in it, once again, they are to blame if we like it or dislike it. But there will be people who like it anyway. That's just the way of fandom. That is the way that things go. And there is no actual wrong answer when it comes to what films you like and dislike. We're all part of these fandoms. And honestly, when it comes to me, personally, I think more Batman is good. More Superman is good. More Justice League is good. More Flash is good. More Wonder Woman is good. Bring on the Elseworlds projects. Bring them all on and let's get this going. I have no problem with Elseworld projects and I am completely so 100% happy that James Gunn does not have a problem with them either. Because for a while, DC movies were just, you had one version of these characters that was allowed and that was it. Look at the CW. You had a whole period of time when they couldn't use Batman. We couldn't have Superman for a long time either. Then they finally said okay, and we got the Superman and Lois show. That was fine. We got that. That was good. I didn't mind that show. I'm all about more of the heroes we're looking forward to seeing. More of them is always a good thing. If you don't like one version of them, you're gonna find a version you do like. That's just how I feel about it. So I wanted to put this out there and let you guys know what was actually the truth, what's actually being said, so that when it's spun in all these different ways, whether people take it and they run with it as a good thing, like I tend to think of it as a good thing, or whether they take it and they run with it all as this completely horrible, atrocious thing that's going to ruin the DCU. James Gunn needs to be fired. Zack Snyder needs to come back and all this stuff that they usually have to say. I just wanted you to be armed with the truth. But that's where I'm going to leave it off to you guys today. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Let me know in the comments whether you're excited about the information that we've gotten so far about Batman, and what do you think they're going to do with Damian? Do you think he's going to be part of it? Do you think they've decided not to use him at all? Maybe age him up a year or two? Whatever you're thinking, there's no wrong answer. I just want to hear from you guys, so make sure you leave me that comment in the comment box below. Make sure you share this video with all of your friends so that they can be a part of our conversation as well. Then if you like positive content, you're going to want to hit that like button and let the algorithm know. It can't hurt, it can only help. If you like our content personally, you know what you have to do. Hit that subscribe button and then hit that notification bell right next to it so that you never miss a single video we do. Because friends, at the end of the day, I know it and you know it, fandom is family.